Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. Today we're taking a look at a really interesting little knife. This is the Damn Designs Oni. I am pretty excited about this review. This has been a wild knife to carry. Before we get started, this knife was loaned into the channel by old Tanto guy. Thank you so much, Reggie. He has sent a bunch of knives to the channel for me to review. Huge support of the channel, and I really appreciate it. Alright, let's go ahead and start off with our blade length measurement. So sharpened edge, always a little bit awkward to measure on Tantos. We're going to call it, I'm going to call sharpened edge like 1 3/4 inches. It's a hair over that, but you know, there we go. You add in all the sharpened edge from all different angles and stuff, it's going to be a little bit different. If we measure the blade length all the way back to the scales, we are coming in here about 2 inches, just a hair under. Alright, this is not a big knife at all, excuse me. Okay, let's get our size comparisons going. Here's our Rat 2, and there's the Rat 1. Yeah, this is a very small knife, but it's kind of a chunker at the same time. I mean, we are significantly shorter than the Rat 2, but significantly taller. Alrighty, next up, let's go ahead and compare it against our USA made comparisons. There's the Spyderco PM2 and the Benchmade Bug Out. Yep, it's a small knife. It's a small knife. It's a small knife. Bring out our Civivis. There's the Praxis. And, of course, ye old Elementum. Good deal, good deal. Let's go ahead and compare against some knives that are a little more similar in size and probably competitors to this guy. Here is the CJRB Mica, and here's the Civivi Baby Banter. I almost called this the Benchmade Bug Out Banter. Weird. But we can see here that it's even a little bit shorter than these two guys. And let's go ahead and compare against the only other Damn Designs knife that I've reviewed up to this point, the Cerberus. And also, just because I have it here, this was the knife reviewed last week, also sent in by old Tanto guy, the Voss Steed Thunderbird. They've got kind of similar scales. There we go. What about the materials on this knife? Well, we have a 14C 28N Tanto blade, kind of an acid stonewash finish. We have red and black G-Masca scales, steel liner lock, steel clip, running on bearings. Let's go cut some stuff. Hey guys, we'll get to the review cutting in just a second, but I got a little bit of a funny story to tell. But first, actually, look at the rainbow. It's been raining a little bit today, probably gonna rain a little bit later. Man, that's gorgeous. So, also, someone left their chanclas down here by the river. You hear that little vehicle driving away. So I'm here setting up, getting ready to film. I filmed quite a few videos today, actually. Set this in the tripod. And those folks drove down here and they're like, hey, what are you doing? And I told them, oh, you know, I'm just, after work, I'm down here filming a video and this, that, and the other. I told them, you know, that I do YouTube videos like a freaking weirdo. And the man that was with them, he was like, he says, oh, okay, well, just wondering, like, you know, you're just down here with your truck parked by the river. And his wife chimed up, she's like, we thought you were dumping a body. So, one of these days, if body pieces are discovered floating in this part of the Rio Grande, I mean, people find body parts in the Rio Grande all the time, but if it's discovered around here, I'm sure there will be someone telling the police, oh yeah, there was a white guy with glasses and a hat in a Chevy Silverado down by the river all the time. And then I'm going to have to bring out my YouTube channel to prove my innocence. That'd be funny, having my videos as evidence in court. That'd be hilarious. Anyways, I thought that was funny, but let's go ahead and get into some review cutting. Today, what knife do I want to do review cutting for right now? You know what? We'll do the one that I just picked up. Today, we're doing the review cutting for the Damn Designs goddamn mosquito. The Damn Designs Oni. This is an interesting little knife. Let's go ahead and hop right in with that action. The action on this thing is phenomenal. This thing thwacks. This is one of the best front flippers I have ever experienced, especially on a small knife. I mean, it's kind of a miracle that they did this so good. Really, really excellent, big front flipper tab, great jimping, very grabby, and man, yeah, that thing smacks out. Ah. The reverse flick, as you can see there, also works really, really well. Thumb flick you can do. It's a little more awkward. Oh my goodness, I can't get it right here, but oh my gosh, come on, Gideon. You can do this. There we go, more or less. It's a little more awkward, but you can do it, and you can slow roll with that thumb very easily. So, yeah, good deal. Let's talk about the ergos. I'm not sure how I feel about the ergos. They're okay, but I also kind of hate them. So, if you grab it back here, I mean, there's not very many hot spots here. But at the same time, like, I'm very far away from the edge. I feel like it's hard to control that blade. If I choke up to, like, here, this is kind of okay. I feel that clip really poking me in the hand right here. And it just feels a little bit awkward. And so if I choke up all the way where I'm right behind that edge, kind of, and if I'm holding it in, like, a hammer grip, it's fairly comfortable, but like, I feel like this is not the most usable grip. The grip that I think is like the most usable is right here with your thumb up here like this. And this does work, but this is a hard corner right here. I can feel the clip right here. However, in the left hand, for whatever reason, this feels so much better. Having this clip here to anchor my fingers on, that just works out a lot better. So, like, if I was going to be keeping this knife, I might actually put the clip on the left-hand side and carry it like that as a right-handed person. So yeah, the ergos are kind of a mixed bag for me. And I feel like, god damn, what is in my ears that these mosquitoes think is so yummy? Yeah, I think this is going to be something that is going to be very, very dependent on your hands. And I do not see this being a great knife for people with larger hands. Let's go ahead and talk about the carry. So I like the way Damn Designs does their clips. This is really excellent. I think this is a very, very good clip. I carried this mostly in the fifth pocket. You can see right there, fits in beautifully. This is a fantastic fifth pocket carry knife. The clip goes in and out with no problem whatsoever. Very, very deep carry. The knife itself, you know, is not a super heavy object. It's a little bit chunky for a fifth pocket knife, but, you know, I don't think it's bad. The carry is pretty excellent. All right, let's go ahead and do some cutting. Tanto blade, 14C, 28N. And you don't have a whole lot to work with, but because it's a Tanto, you do kind of maximize your edge. There we go. And yes, it's a Tanto, so you can get to that secondary tip and do very, very nice utility cuts. So overall, like for a small knife like this, actually a Tanto blade's a good way to go for a small knife. All right, let's grab our rope here. Ooh, that felt great. Thank goodness. I've actually done review cutting with two knives today so far that both weren't really the best cutting knives, but all right, let's go ahead and crunch down on this. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you get a lot of power down there on that secondary, edge. So, yeah, that did just fine. No complaints whatsoever. All right, let's get our pool noodle out here. This was going to be a little bit awkward just because our blade does not go all the way through, but let's do one at least. Yeah, we're just gonna do the one. That felt really, really nice. That felt good. The geometry on this thing feels like it's done the way it should be. That went through pretty nicely. I did get snagged a couple places, but that's because I got into the unsharpened part. But yeah, other than that, felt really, really good. This thing has a very, very solid blade on it. There's a good look at the little guy. Let's go ahead and get back to the table. I don't know why that was so hard. Alrighty, let's get into what I'm liking and not liking about this very interesting little knife. First of all, focus up, camera. I think this is a really cool looking knife. I have always been a fan of Damn Design's design language. I think they're very unique. They're instantly recognizable. This and the Cerberus, very, very cool designs. I love these pivots, these really big hexagonal pivots. Very, very cool. I like the way they do their clip. I like how their knives look kind of aggro and overly aggressive. It's all a look I really, really dig. The logo for the brand is also really cool. We've got like these ram horns over cross blades. Love that. And this knife here, this gray wash blade really matches with these scales really nicely. You've got the hardware matches the blade. It's just a good looking knife. I really, really dig it. It's recognizable. There are not very many knives that look like this. And as far as like small fifth pocket carry knives go, very rarely do you see any that go to this level of aggressive with their aesthetics. And so I think it's all really, really cool. Next thing, the build quality on this feels very, very good. This knife is built very well. I think Bestech used to OEM these. Maybe they still do. But regardless, fantastic build quality. Next thing, the pocket clip. I like this pocket clip. I really, really do. It's a simple clip, but it works. In and out of the pocket is no problem whatsoever. I like how they mount the clip, where the clip is inset, and they use button screws, but they use screws that are the same level as the scales. So you basically just get this smooth transition under the clip. That's perfect. That's what I love to see. You do have a filler tab over here. The clip is reversible. They thought about the lefties. Thank goodness. I love filler tabs. I think this looks very, very classy. And yeah, it's a great way to incorporate the lefties into this really, really cool little knife. Next up, they included a lanyard on this knife, and I'm not a huge lanyard guy. Excuse me. But I could see why you would want a lanyard on a knife this small. You want to throw some string and some beads on there to give you just a little more something to hold on to with the knife. Maybe a little something to help you get it out of your pocket. I can see a lanyard being very, very useful on a knife this small. And the way they incorporate the lanyard hole into the back spacer is nice. It's pretty clever. And yeah, I enjoy that. More about the build quality. Inset liners, that's a great thing I like to see. These scales are chamfered in a really interesting way. You can see we've got kind of these really deep chamfers. So we're not contoured, but you get the illusion of being contoured because of those chamfers. Access to the lock bar is fantastic. That's always a balancing act when you have a tiny liner lock, is making sure you can get to that lock bar. On this knife, no problem whatsoever. Next up, that action. This is one of the best front flippers I have ever felt. I mean, look at that. Look at that. That is a massive mohawk of a flipper tab. The jimping is like really aggressive. It's kind of this geared pattern, but it's not super sharp. It does give you a lot of good traction. I mean, flicking that thing is very, very easy. It grabs you back, and this thing fires out. I mean, this is... Man, that thing's so snappy. Almost like a little auto. And the sound it makes when it opens... Yeah, this is a little knife that's making big knife noises, which I really enjoy. You can slow roll it with a little blade hole. Reverse flicking it is not a problem. I sometimes have trouble thumb flicking it, although that time I did not, just because you've got to kind of like get around this little hump here, but yeah, there you go. You can do it. But yeah, that's something that's also kind of hard to balance when you're making a knife this small, is making sure that it's easy to manipulate. This knife is absolutely easy to deploy, which is greatly appreciated for a small little knife. And honestly, this is a knife where Normally, a front flipper is not my go-to method of deployment. I always like my front flippers to have multiple deployment options, which this one does. But this knife, while I was carrying it, I was always going for the front flipper. Normally when I'm carrying a knife that's a front flipper, if it has a second means of deployment, I go for that in actual use, and then I'll just, if I'm sitting on the couch watching TV, I'll play with the front flipper. This knife, I was going for the front flipper every single time because it's just so intuitive to use. And speaking of use, this is a really darn good little user knife. I love reviewing fifth pocket carry knives like this because this allows me to carry other knives for review with this. This has been in my pocket a lot over the last couple of weeks because I'm carrying this in supplement to something else. So I might be switching out my main carry between a bunch of the other knives that old Tanto guy sent in for me to review. But this guy's been staying in the pocket because he's in my fifth pocket. He's my secondary carry. And I've gotten a lot of use out of him. This is a great little knife for opening packages, scoring. Those utility cuts are really good. Grabbing a knife like this up here, man, you're all set for the small, delicate tasks. Scraping tasks, that's a great thing that a Tanto gives you. 14C is a fantastic steel for EDC. This thing performed fantastic. I really enjoyed carrying this. It's got a good blade on it. Flat grind on both the main and secondary grinds. Not necessarily the thinnest thing behind the edge, but it's not super thick. And for a knife this size, I'm not going to be like breaking down boxes or food prep or anything like that. So very, very nice little user knife. I really, really enjoy it. All right. Let's go ahead and start with my negatives. And the first thing we're going to talk about is something that's kind of a negative, but kind of not. I don't really like the ergos on this thing. And this is very subjective. This might just be a me thing. Because I've had this knife to a lot of other people, and they absolutely love everything about it. So one person that handled it a lot was my cousin Austin. I went and helped him move a while back, and I took this knife with me, and I kind of had it sitting there in my cup holder, and as we're driving in my truck, he was just kind of fidgeting with this, and he was absolutely loving it. And I asked him, well, how's that feel in your hand? And so I let him kind of carry it around and use it a little bit, and he was really enjoying it. But he's also a lefty, and we're going to come back to that. So let me talk about my experiences with this knife and how I think the ergos are. So you open it up, and if you grab the knife back here, put your thumb this thumb ramp right here. I'm locked in. This is like a 3-finger grip. You can see this. I do like that they have this shelf kind of canting up so you can get that third finger there. 3-finger grip, and this is a fine grip, I guess. I do feel the clip quite a bit, but I'm also just really far from the edge, so I feel like I lose a lot of control. And this is a knife that I want delicate control with. I already mentioned my favorite grip with this knife is holding the blade and using it like this, and this works fine. This works fine. It's not a grip that I want to be using for necessarily everything. This is a very, more detail-oriented grip. If I choke up here and put my finger on this little flat area right here, this does not work for me at all. The clip hits me in a really bad spot. I feel like I don't have much control over the knife. This is a kind of a 2.5-finger grip, oddly, just the way the knife is angled. And I can choke up to here, and this is a little bit better. I feel like I've got fantastic control over the blade here, but I'm basically sitting right on the edge. And this clip, again, is just kind of digging into my hand a little bit. However, if I put this in my left hand, and we mentioned this during the review cutting, this feels very good. I get that first knuckle in here, and yeah, I'm still on that edge, but I feel like I can pull back enough to avoid cutting myself. And just the way my fingers wrap around and grab on the clip here, this feels a lot better. And this is a grip that I really, really enjoy. So if I were keeping this knife, I might actually put the clip over here so that it's more comfortable with my right hand. And I think that's one of the reasons why Austin, as a lefty, enjoyed it so much. Now, the ergos are not bad. Like I said, this grip here, this is a go-to. This grip is actually very comfortable, but really, hammer grip on a 2-inch blade? I don't think so, right? That's not my go-to. The ergos aren't terrible, they're usable, but they are a little bit awkward for me. And this might be just a personal thing. We've talked about this before on the channel, but I have kind of weird hands. I've got like regular man-sized palms, but then I have really short and skinny like lady fingers. So, you know, my hands might just be weird, but this knife just doesn't work the best for me. And also, like right here, that kind of feels awkward with my thumb up on the blade there. I do want it in this little thumb ramp here. So that's not a huge negative. That's probably a subjective thing, but for me, personally, that is something that I love so much about this knife. I am really, really upset that I can't enjoy the ergonomics that much. And that's something I'm really sensitive about as the ergos. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is we do have some lock rock. Now, we've got no side to side, but we've got a little bit of lock rock. I never like seeing that combo. But in this case, what we have is we have an external stop pin, and yes, this is an external stop pin, okay? I have this rant every once in a while. I'm gonna have it again here. Whenever you have a stop pin that is attached to the blade and it moves with the blade, that's an external stop pin. An internal stop pin is a stop pin that's fixed in place, but the blade moves around it, okay? So many YouTubers get that wrong. This is an external stop pin. Just because it's hidden doesn't mean it's internal. It's connected to the blade, which makes it an external stop pin. Okay, just had to get that out of the way. But I think what it is, honestly, is this thing opens with so much power. I think that stop pin might be just kind of eating its way into these steel liners. And it's not bad. It's not dangerous. But it's not so much lock rock as it is this thing just has a little bit of give back here where the stop pin interacts with the liners. And you can hear that. So, yeah, not something I love to see, but honestly, again, it's a small knife, so it's probably an easy thing to overlook. You're not going to be using this super hard, but I do have to mention it. All right, let's go ahead and go into my final conclusions. Final conclusions, I love Damn Designs. I can't believe this is only the second knife of theirs I've ever reviewed. I love their aesthetic. I love so much about what they do. I would be really curious to see how I feel about the larger version of this knife. And by the way, Oni, O-N-I, that's a Japanese demon from Japanese folklore. And I think that's a really cool name. I think that's a really, really cool name. It fits their whole Damn Designs theme. Can I recommend this knife? If the ergos work for you, if you're really attracted to this design, if you just gotta have it, go ahead and buy it. See how the ergos work for you. This thing is a fantastic fidget knife. This is a fantastic user knife. The ergos just don't work out for me, and that could be a personal thing. Everything else about the knife is pretty good. So yeah, I do enjoy it, and I'll give it a light recommendation. All right, that's me it for today, guys. Big shout out to my channel members, especially Old Tanto Guy for sending this in. If you want to be a channel member, there's a button down below where you can join to get exclusive perks. For everybody else, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment below, and subscribe. I've been Gideon, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.